What's good, YouTube? Steel here, and in today's video we're taking on the second of 4 expert solo battles introduced in the Eevee Grove expansion. On this channel we focus on beating these battles not only with the opposite type but also 3 diamonds or less. Before we begin, I'd like to ask y'all to please consider subscribing for more expert solo battle guides as well as Master Ball level gameplay and meta breakdowns, as we post everything Pokemon Pocket on this channel. With that said, let's start the Flareon EX expert solo battle guide. As always, I like to begin with breaking down the opponent's list, and the list is actually one of the harder ones to kind of like prepare for, mainly because since they have 4 Eevees that evolve into like 2 different sets of Flareons, they have the versatility to either go like an all EX route or the non-EX route, and we have to like adapt on the fly to whichever one they decide to go with. Things to look out for or keep in mind is Flareon's combustibility alongside Leaf. The fact that they have Leaf and Combust means that at any moment they could kind of swap whatever they have in the front into a Flareon that's swinging for 130, and since we're playing with grass only, it's essentially always swinging for 150. One thing though that has come up in my practice or in my testing for the video is that they will combust down to 130 whether they need to or not. They'll be like at 3 energy and still do it, and in fact it kind of like helps us in the long run, as you'll see when we go into the deck that we're using. But again, they don't always do it, but there was a few times that they did, and it kind of makes one of the cards we're playing redundant, but nonetheless gets back into what this deck is doing. And one of those things is Torkoal. Torkoal is not to be like underestimated. Yes, it's just 100 HP. Yes, it hits only for 70 and it has to discard an energy, and it's like a 2 cost. But what makes it like annoying, I guess, is the fact that it's not an EX, and our deck is very geared towards being able to deal with Flareon EX rather easily. When it comes to Torkoal, if they set it up with Rocky Helmet and we don't draw specific cards to like either play around or through it, it could actually become a problem. And another thing that we need to keep in mind is the versatility of the Eevee bag. The same way that this deck could either go through Flareon EX or just non-EX Flareon, they could with Eevee bag do either extra damage and hit ranges that you're either not prepared for or can't really handle. Because it's not that you're not prepared for, sometimes you just have no control over the fact that if they have the Eevee bag, they knock you out, or they could just heal and then you miss ranges that you're trying to hit with your Pokemon. However, keep in mind that the computer, the AI or whatever, is rather aggressive with not only the Eevee bags but just doing damage in general. There was a game where they used double Eevee bag on me, and it wasn't even for like lead, like they didn't even knock out the Pokemon they're swinging at. They just had the ability to pump and they did it. So I guess to a certain extent they don't know how to use it properly, which is always a good thing for us. And the last like relevant card is a Rocky Helmet, as it could also be an issue if we don't draw the proper cards, because again, we have ways to play around it or through it, but if we don't see those ways, any Pokemon in the front, especially a non-EX one with Rocky Helmet, could become a problem. But nonetheless, I have full confidence in the deck that we'll be using in today's video, which is a completely non-EX version of Meowscarada Decidueye. As you can see here, the list is very similar or reminiscent of like the Meowscarada Decidueye decks of like past metas. I know the deck has fallen off in the actual meta, but for expert solo battle guys, it continues to be one of the best, if not the best strategy to use, as it meets the requirement of 3 diamonds or less. And the fact that Meowscarada completely counters EXs, and now Decidueye is able to deal damage wherever on the board that you see fit, it's one of like the stronger strategies. But as you can see, we have to be able to pivot on either side. Like if they go the whole non-EX route, our Meowscarada completely loses effectiveness, but then that way we could depend on Decidueye to not only either attack what's in front of us, but just start hitting the EXs in the back line, which is also our best way of dealing around Rocky Helmet. Our 2 answers to Rocky Helmet that I mentioned previously is Decidueye, the entire Rowlet line, basically hitting around it by hitting the back line, as well as Leaf Cape. Leaf Cape is probably the MVP in this entire deck. Leaf Cape gives you that extra 30 HP, which puts us just out of range of so many attacks. Like a fully healthy Meowscarada is able to survive a fully like attacked or even buffed Flareon attack, and even Decidueye with Cape could survive a Flareon attack as long as they don't have any Eevee bags. But that's just looking at like worst case scenario. Cape on its own is able to allow us to survive the Flareon, the non-EX Flareon attacks. It helps us survive Torkoal. Not to mention with all the healing that we're playing, the double Erica and the Lily, we have so much like resilience and like stay power with our deck that regardless of the route they go with, as long as we see that Leaf Cape or we see that Decidueye line, we're able to basically adapt or pivot as need be. As you can see in the gameplay, there's depending on what they do is how we have to approach it. The 1 red is technically the flex spot. You could technically play Guzma if you feel like the Rocky Helmets are a big problem. The reason I play red is because initially when I was doing this challenge, I was unaware that they tend to hit their Flareon down to 130 regardless of the situation. But in a situation where they don't do that because it's not the correct play to do, Meowscarada plus red is able to knock out a fully healthy Flareon, which is like the biggest threat that they have in the deck. Everything else, we're able to not only survive, but then we're able to follow it up with an Erica or a Lily to continue like taking damage from everything besides the Flareon EX. And realistically, although I might have made this sound a little complicated in like how you have to react to what your opponent's doing, our plan is pretty straightforward. We're just trying to build up our deck. We use Sprigatito early with the cry for help to get all our pieces, or as many pieces as we can. Luckily for us, all their Pokemon require at least 2 energy to attack. Technically they could attack with the EX Eevee for just 30 damage, but that doesn't threaten lethal at any moment. So realistically, we have time to build up our board as well as our hand, and once you get set up, it's really hard to lose this. Regardless, there's nothing that words could really explain better than just the gameplay. So if you stick around for the gameplay, you'll see exactly how I take on this challenge and like try to play around depending on what they do. And trust me, once you watch it, it'll make sense why I'm specifying so much, why it matters to pivot or be able to like adapt to what's going on, because it's like the first time we actually see this in an expert solo battle, and I think it's clearly because of Eevee's ability, the fact that they have 4 Eevees and it could go either way. It's a dimension that, although it's not overly complicated or impossible to defeat, it is an extra added layer to this challenge that we haven't seen before. So I felt like I needed to emphasize it. Regardless, I want to thank you for watching. I hope this list helps you with this challenge. As always, feel free to comment down below any questions or suggestions on how either to improve the deck or how to play the deck, or if you're missing certain cards, what you could replace it with. I always answer every comment as soon as I see it. Best of luck with your battle, and above all else, stay pro. All right, going second, which could be for the best. Especially with a hand like this one. Okay, let's see. They don't have any red or Mars or anything, so there's no reason to drop our whole hand. But yeah, going second means that they can't attack us as fast. It slows down basically every part of their game except for, like, I guess Eevee, even Eevee, right? Like the second they evolve, every evolution needs 2 energy. The Torkoal needs 2 energy, so them going second is probably harder on us. But we could definitely deal with this situation here. Also, the Rocky Helmet made me think like, oh, I might want to play Guzma, but overall I just decided we were better off just like, I guess, what is it? What's the word? What would be the terminology? Like forcing, brute forcing ourselves through the challenge. Healing when we need to. Cape also makes it where we don't care for the helmet too much, but this Pokeball doesn't have a target, but again, they can't shuffle our hand back, so it's okay. Alright, now we're in a situation that if they don't evolve, or if they evolve into Flareon, we get... Yeah, okay, perfect. I was like, we need to find Meowscarada to do it, but yeah. Now we threaten Eevee with knocking them out. Granted, if they go into baby Flareon, we don't knock them out, obviously. However, we still commit, right? Because we 2-shot this and they only hit us for 60. Technically, they're gonna hit us for a total of 100, but we're gonna heal 50 of that due to the Rocky Helmet like chip damage as well. We could evolve here. Yeah. Technically, they could Eevee's bag to heal to 70. Yeah, so in this small instance, are they gonna heal twice? Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, in this small instance, you might consider playing Giovanni as well for the slight, like the one time it plays out like this, but no. We're as nice as research would be here, we're forced to Erica. And I'm debating which one to put. Probably the Floragato. Let's go here. And still apply pressure. We're going to go down to 90. Again, they hit us for 60. Yeah, so we're able to trade for the Flareon. They're out of healing. The most they could do is like Leaf and hit us with Eevee or something like that. But they didn't do that, so we're good. Erica here is not as good as we would like it to be. But let's see what we could draw here. A second Meowscarada. Like I mentioned before, or y'all saw in the deck profile, they do play Cyrus, so backing out this Meowscarada doesn't necessarily save it, but it's still in our best interest to do so. Alright, the 5 cards left in our deck are not one rare candy, yeah, A rare candy, Dartrix, the Lily, and both capes. Cape is so like not important, but makes this matchup so much easier, and we just keep not seeing it, but it is okay. And they have no issues finding their tools. There's the Cyrus, which I think is okay. I think it's for the better probably to get rid of this Meowscarada and have this one technically in full health because we get to Erica it. Go cape here. I'm trying to see if I could afford not to charge. I mean, not to heal. Technically, we're just 20 off from healing fully. They're gonna hit us for 90. And it's not like we'll use red, right? Yeah. I think we're okay with this. Yeah, that something that was coming to mind is like Flareon could come out and just like completely body us. So hopefully we draw into the Decidueye because our out to Flareon is a okay, perfect. That's like exactly what we needed because our out to Flareon it was always like red into like Meowscarada red. I guess technically we could also force out their hand by. Again, they're out of Cyrus. Cyrus is they only have one in the deck. Like we could take out Torkoal here, or we could just deal 70 here on the Flareon. The only issue is that if they go Flareon, then if they play a different Flareon, we kind of get rocked. Our best bet is like knowing that we could win with red Meowscarada and just going Decidueye up to this Torkoal. Double checking. Technically, okay, not even the Torkoal. We could just go for like Eevee here. Okay, they went for the leaf play, which is interesting that they decided to charge Torkoal and then leaf it away. Nonetheless, we still win, right? But it's good to know like where they misplay. So like in a future, yeah, okay. So now, I don't know what that was about, but we win regardless. I don't know what that's about because the Decidueye clearly would have been able to attack regardless of where the Pokemon was, but yeah. GG's. I wish I could say, oh, it's that simple, but this is based on like the parameters that we have and the ability for them to either go full EX or just full like non-EX. Kind of makes it awkward for a deck like Meowscarada, but for the most part, it should work. All right, going second once again, and I feel like Brigatito is always going to be the better option just because of thinning out the deck, making sure we see all the pieces. Although our hand is really, really good. All right, they did absolutely nothing. That's crazy. This time we found the Leaf Cape immediately. Trust me, you're gonna see how much easier the matchup is now that we started with the Leaf Cape. And before we don't find rare candy or nothing. Obviously, that Pokeball doesn't have a target. So next turn, they literally can't do much, if anything at all. Let's see, they have much more plays this time around. Okay, the Flareon, pretty standard again. They do that a lot. Yeah, okay. Meowscarada. If we see rare candy, I think we're in the money. Leaf Cape, Lily. Okay. So much for that. Leaf Cape so that we're able to survive the Flareon. which again leads towards what I was saying, that it's just so much better, or more. Yeah, it's easier to handle the ranges once we're able to have like the extra HP. Because now we're not threatened by Flareon. There's just many lines we could do where we don't feel as much danger. We have 6 cards left in deck. I think we're out of researches, right? Yeah. The 6 cards include the double rare candy, the Florgato, the second Meowscarada. What else? And Erica is definitely in there. And just skimming over. Oh, and the red. The red's very important for Flareon EX and Flareon EX alone. Although for some reason they tend to use the ability and hit themselves down to 130 all the time. But it is what it is. What's crazy is that this is not enough to knock us out anyways, but that's the first time I see them go like full aggro with the EV bag. Alright, there's the red. Quite unfortunate set of like draws, I guess. Like we can't even heal the cat for enough. What we could technically do is put out Dark Tricks, but I think we'll just sacrifice the Sprigatito and just build up everything else. Yeah, let's cry for help. Again, they don't have Guzma or nothing, so it's not like they could like double kill. The only thing is that it gives them more time to set up, right? Alright, there goes Sprigatito. And at least we know that the only Flareon they could play, EX that is in the middle. So we're going to try to use that to our advantage and just single out that Eevee right now. Crazy. A 0 rare candy game. That's not very common, really. We have the Leaf Cape in the odd... Well, not the odd. In the chance that they just go into the Flareon EX, they could technically attack with it. Is there a way... I just don't know if they will send out Flareon EX otherwise, because we could also just like target one of these guys. But let's go for the EX, and then it makes trading for the front line a lot easier. Alright, that forces them to evolve if they find it. Which again, 60 is fine. We heal that perfectly with Lily. Yeah, let's go right back to full health. And threaten Flareon. The best part is that they already used their Eevee bags, so Flareon can't knock us out in any way. Like, there's no math in which we lose to Flareon. And look at that. They forget how to act, I guess. Because now we go Erica here. And you're going to Decidueye because it does have a 2 retreat cost. I'll take our 2 points. And from here on out, we just got to do Decidueye is going to get hit for 60 again. We heal back. Hit the back line. Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. We don't even have to worry about the helmet. Oh, and they gave us the win. Putting that Eevee there is crazy. I guess they're out of EXs, but still. And just like that, we beat them once again. So yeah, there's obviously like... There is games where you'll struggle, especially if they start like very aggressive with Torkoal and you don't find your pieces. There'll be games where you get stuck with like a Sprigatito in the front and you just like lose immediately. But for the most part, the deck is built to beat this rather efficiently. Not to mention, once you see Leaf Cape, it gets so much easier because that extra 30 HP allows you to tank hits far easier. Like you get to play, like, I guess not riskier, but you get to play a lot more freely because they can't really threaten you as much. And we have so much healing in the deck. Plus, once you set up your big guys, you're able to, with Decidueye, spread the damage where you play around Rocky Helmet. And with Meowscarada, at any point you could knock out a Flareon. EX. Also, if for some reason the EV just stays there in the front, the EV EX specifically, you're able to just knock it out. Granted, I guess that goes for the regular EV too, since it only has 60 HP and they're not playing any form of like cape or nothing. But yeah, ultimately, this is like one of the better like non-EX decks for solo battles, whether you're playing with only the grass type or not, because of Meowscarada being able to hit EXs, and Decidueye's spread damage is just crazy all throughout, from like the very beginning to the last one. I mean, from Rowlet to Dartrix to Decidueye, you're able to constantly play around and choose what you want to hit. So there is a line where we could just play like a bunch of like Cyruses and Sabrinas and just like focus on manipulating the board that way. I just felt like this list was straight to the point, very similar to like the Meowscarada Decidueye decks from the past that were meta. So that's like where the inspiration came from. Obviously, it's a little diluted because we're playing the non-EX Decidueye, but the deck works perfectly fine. Hopefully it helped you. If you watched up to this point, thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing, and above all else, stay pro.